This meeting demonstrates our desire to work collaboratively in improving the lives of our residents. I also want to thank you for allowing me to speak at the class of 2021. The graduation ceremony meant a great deal to me. A 1968 graduate of El Rancho and a product of the district. Please allow me to attempt to frame and acknowledge the challenges facing this potential relationship. Professional courtesy. The district is the largest employer in our city and will receive all of the courtesy and respect due our largest employer. Your success is our success. The need for change. A majority of the elected officials in this room were voted in by a community that was in demand for change, greater accountability, transparency, and most important, results. We need to prove to our voters they made the right choice. Overcoming a dubious history. The district and the city for years have not had the best of working relationships for a number of reasons, which has resulted in suspicion that has impacted our potential. In my past conversation with our president, with your president, leading to this meeting, I used the analogy of a divorced couple trying to reconcile, to describe what we're going through and what is necessary to repair this relationship. We are going to have strict discipline in our interactions. Everything is going to have to go through the proper procedure. We're not going to be able to have any sidebars because, again, it will create a conflict in our relationship. There's going to have to be tremendous transparency and trust. We cannot seek the great big deal, but strive for great small deals until our mutual trust is verified. And that is why I am electing not to address land use in this meeting if it's acceptable to the president. We are mutually facing the economic challenge of an aging and declining population. Much like climate change, we have a demographic change that requires our immediate attention. And I feel this is the first step in addressing that issue. Thank you. Following the agenda, Mr. Carmona, can you give us the background, please?
Yes, Mayor, I'm not wanted to know if the board president wanted to turn it over to the board members for any opening remarks and or if the mayor wanted to turn it over to council members for any opening remarks.
Okay.
Board member Caroline Castillo.
Yes. Yeah. Ms. Castillo. Yes. This is a great opportunity for us to work together. We say we serve the same community, and I've said that for a number of years. So we have to pay attention to what they want us to do. So I believe that this is a good step forward in making sure that we are talking to each other, collaborating, and helping where we can. Thank you.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I echo my colleagues' sentiments and Mr. Contreras' sentiments as well. This meeting has been a long time in coming, and there is so much that we can do for our community if we work together. I look forward to working together with all of you.
Thank you. I concur with my colleagues. Back in, I think it was about 2010, when I was on the board back then, the city council then and the school board did come together. And part of what we're trying to do today was attempted back then, collaboration between the district and the city. It was successful. Unfortunately, there was a change of leadership, and then you had the Great Recession, so things just kind of got lost there. But I'm glad that this idea has been brought up again, and like to move forward on it. Thank you.
Hello. Okay. Thank you again for this opportunity. For me, the most important thing are the students. It's one of my passions. And 50% of their day is spent in the classroom, but 50% of the day is also spent on the parks and the programs in the city. And so to me, I think this collaboration, sorry, this is really hard to breathe in. The collaboration really allows for us to bring together, and again, for me, to focus on the students. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm familiar with the district. I served as the school sites council president as well, chair for 2 years. And I think as well, one of my areas of focus is not what you can give us as a school district, but how can we help to make more space for our students and teachers and staff. 3 areas, I know we're going to have a formal presentation. 3 areas that I wanted to mention, I see as somewhere we can look at to enhance and help. Is one, I know that we are going to lose baseball field space. Similarly, I know that you will be losing due to construction, football space and baseball space. One area that I would like to consider for the future is one of our other partners that's not here today is Rio Hondo College. When they had their bond, I also served on the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee for Rio Hondo College. The city provided space for students of Rio Hondo to have practice at our Smith Park soccer field. So I think they would be willing to return the favor, and they're not here. I think we could call on them. We have a trustee for the region, and that's one area that we could reach out for more support. And secondly, an area that of our need, our swimming pool is in disrepair, and it's very important for our children to learn how to swim. Latino and Black children have a higher percentage of drowning rates because of not knowing how to swim. Many adults today do not even know how to swim, Latinos. So I think that is an area not only of fun and enjoyment for our children, but it's an area of public health. So I would like to see us work together on how we could provide a swimming space for our children. And third, we do share space already collaboratively on the dais, but looking into a perhaps further down the line, a civic center of some sort. When I was a parks commissioner, I remember a resident told me, Dr. Sanchez, I think it's great you're involved, but we need a new football stadium at El Rancho High School. So many residents, I think some don't quite understand that we're 2 separate bodies and we oversee 2 separate entities, 2 separate spaces. And so if we can just make ourselves in one space and find a way to work collaboratively as a civic center, I think that would be an idea for the future. So those are just 3 general ideas. I don't have written statements, but 3 areas that I see we could enhance. Thank you.
Councilman Camacho?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, President Dr. Marino, for working together and putting this joint meeting from the City Council and the school board. As Dr. Rivera mentioned, it's been a long time since the last meeting, and actually, I think Dr. Rivera was the only one here in this room that was part of that meeting, which is back in probably 2008, 2009, actually, around that time. Nevertheless, I think this is great for us to come together because it has been stated over and over again, we serve the same constituency. We share the same boundaries. So in the essence of collaborative governance, we are the perfect model for it. So to not work towards that goal, we're just doing a disservice to our community. And I mean, we serve and we do what we can in the respective positions we have, and we work hard at it. But I think jointly and collaboratively, we can enhance what we're already doing for our communities together. And there's, again, the agreements, joint uses, collaboration, it's existed over the years. And whether individual relationships or bodies didn't work well at one point or another, we've had ad hoc committee meetings and groups as well. But nevertheless, we work together. Let's continue working together. And this is it's not about the past, but what can we do together for the future. So thank you.
Councilman Lara?
Testing 1, 2, 3. It's a privilege to sit across the table from everyone from El Rancho Unified School District, the school board. I feel very close to every single one of you. I think I've had really deep and meaningful conversations with every single one of you. Not only with conversations, but we've actually rolled up our sleeves and we've worked together. Hot days, collecting signatures, hitting doors. Board Member Castillo, when you would come to the Pico Water District, she would give public comments. Like, who is this lady? She's just absolutely smart. And it's been a privilege to develop personal relationships with every single one of you. And there's a big trust factor that we've developed, and I just want to continue that. I want to help start to reimagine our schools as community centers. Rather than just places where we take our children to learn, 8 to 3, and then they go home and that space closes down. But rather, how do we get our community or our adults to those school centers with their children to use the facilities, if appropriate, and continue that so that they become hubs of education. There was a quote that was given, and I've heard this quote before, right? Check your egos at the door, and I like that. I think it's catchy and it's true. But when I look at the history of the El Rancho Unified School District, I really wish people would check their contractors at the door. Right? Egos, we all have egos. But it's the special interests that we don't see that I think has done in the city and done in the school district. And I say that because a lot of that was a driving force behind the recall. And if we could check those contractors at the door, then I truly believe that we could move the school district and the city forward. Thank you.
Councilman Lutz.
Thank you, Mayor. When I walked in this room today, I felt the synergy, the positive vibration coming from this union of two bodies that have worked a little distance away from each other, maybe about a quarter mile, but nonetheless, today we have the opportunity to start doing what we should have always been doing. Every single person in here is talented, and together we will achieve great things. I anticipate that today we create the planning stage. We set our goals for the upcoming 2 years, and we meet on a quarterly basis. And we see that we accomplished these joint goals that we have together for all of our community members. They're all watching us, and they're very proud of us because we're working collaboratively. One of the things that I did years ago was I thought, what would be best for the community? And I started to think, what were some of the items that I could do to improve my community? Well, one is to be a part of this legislative body. 2 is to work with the El Rancho School Board and bring in and attract new families with a higher standard of living, quality facilities, and a quality education. And so I hope that over the upcoming years that we establish that higher quality education with higher graduating standards. And then we, as a city council, have a higher quality of life and facilities over the upcoming years. Thank you for the opportunity, and I hope that we can set the planning stage in today's meeting. Thank you.
President Marino, can I ask that our city manager talk about our background?
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. Thank you, Board President, board members. With full disclosure, I just want to say that I'm a product of Rancho Unified School District. I went to Durfee Elementary, Durfee Dolphin, and North Park Junior High School. I was student vice president there. So again, I owe a lot to the educational system here in our city. and of course, very proud to serve as a city manager. So with that, I'd like to briefly go over the agenda for tonight. Again, first we'll go over the background. We'll go over past accomplishments. Both I'll be presenting that, and Dr. Esparza will be presenting on the Rancho Unified School District side. And then we'll also go into future ad hoc topics. These were some topics that were discussed by our council and also by the board members. So the city and Rancho Unified School District were actively participating in ad hoc meetings to discuss multiple partnership opportunities going back since 2010, as Dr. Rivera had mentioned. We both created a Parks Master Plan ad hoc in 2010 and also the Rancho Unified School District and City ad hoc in 2016. To give some background on that, these meetings historically included 2 members from each governing board, and they would discuss various topics such as park updates, field usage, special event equipment rental, school facility maintenance, and community sports organizations. These were very valuable to open up the lines of communication between both agencies, and it did it in an expeditious manner. Also, these meetings assisted in several projects that will be discussed in the next slide. As you all are aware and was discussed tonight, the Pico Park project was done in between 2018 and 2020. Also, the REACH program was also in collaboration with the school district. At some time, we had streetlight banners for students. This was seen throughout the community, recognizing the accomplishments of our students. We also sharing our council chambers. You're always welcome guests there, utilizing our conference room, and of course, anything that we can help with various events that you have. We also, during COVID-19, collaborated with you to purchase some Wi-Fi devices for students. This would to help supplement some of the issues a lot of our residents were experiencing. Also, Prime, our utility entity, we completed a solar battery storage and feasibility analysis for all school facilities at no cost to the school district. Dr. Esparza, I'll turn it over to you to discuss some of your past accomplishments.
Some of the past accomplishments between the El Rancho Unified School District and the city have been to ensure safety by shared cost of our Deputy Sheriff School Resource Officer. We've also been in an agreement for several years between the city and the district for joint use of recreational facilities. And we also have provided support with hotspot Wi-Fi's. The city has supported the district with those devices for our students, especially during online distance learning. And the use of the school district facilities to host city events and to provide city-operated parks. So these are some of the accomplishments between the El Rancho Unified School District and the city of Pico Rivera.
Thank you, Dr. Esparza. So Dr. Esparza and myself reached out to her respective board and me to my council members to discuss potential future initiatives. Some of these we can elaborate after we finish with some of these topics. Some of these areas include increased partnership with the school district for sharing facilities with the city. Of course, increased communication between agencies. Long-term solar battery storage partnership opportunity with our Prime, which is our utility. Also seek partnerships with the school district, police, fire for a possible fueling station at school property, including electrical vehicle charging stations, and also fiber optics connectivity. Dr. Esparza.
For the El Rancho Unified School District, some potential future initiatives are the adults trades courses that we'd like Ms. Castillo to be able to discuss at this point. Ms. Castillo?
We are looking at utilizing our existing educational resources, and that involves looking at the El Rancho Adult School. We're also looking at Rio Hondo and also ROP. I'll go a little bit into it from our workforce project, but I do believe we have plenty of opportunities, and it's just that I need to give you a little bit of background on how that works. So I'll talk about that a little bit as we talk about the future initiatives, but thank you. is right here. Yeah, but I'm going to share this now. This is great. This is a collaboration that Gustavo Camacho and I have been working on since April. And so I'll let Gustavo go over a little bit about the background, and then I'll jump in terms of the research. Oh, so I have to, okay. So, background.
Okay. Well, thank you, Board Member Castillo, for that. I just will try to be as brief as possible. There's a lot to discuss in this arena when it comes to workforce development and apprenticeship programs. There's a lot in that area. And just the background from the city of Pico Rivera's perspective and working with my colleagues developing economic recovery programs. And within that scope, under economic development was the idea of what, apprenticeship programs and workforce development pathways have always been important pre-COVID, more so today because of COVID. And so when we started looking at the viability of what do we do to identify those apprenticeship programs that exist today, that we know that they work in conjunction with the school district as well, work in conjunction with Rio Hondo, and identify them, not recreate them, identify them, but promote them. So we're, in essence, part of it is to identify apprenticeship programs, whatever it might be, and there's a big realm in there, and then promote those. But the other, and more in the discussion, was in the realm of pathways. As we look at where the new industries are out there, what's, as you all work to provide, as was mentioned, the skill set for the youth in our community to go beyond high school. And as we are all promoters of four-year universities, we also recognize that not everyone falls under the category to go to for university. But what's next? And we know that resources exist out there, but it's just to navigate and find that information is quite difficult. So part of it is for us, and working with Carolyn Castillo, has been to, once again, look at those sectors: energy, technology, healthcare, things of that are within the next generation of skill sets. And what's also interesting is that we have a lot of employees in the city that are clearly employed, but they want to improve their skill sets. And so where do they get that? Do they do it through the Rancho Unified School District, adult education? Do they do it through Rio Hondo, or do it through different partnerships? So for us, it's trying to work with, and we've been having meetings with Rio Hondo to identify those pathways, to identify where can we improve, what is working and what is not working. And I think part of it is, and I'm not an educator, and I would never even put myself in that position, but I also know within economic development that education, training, skill sets, that's real economic development. That's the #1 economic development tool out there. So Carolina, I've just working, excuse me, I'm going from from board member to now Carolyn. But on the end of the day, we established some goals, and I'll just turn it back over to Ms. Castillo before
Yeah, okay.
I can just continue on and on and on. So
This is a very interesting topic, because it's really, the pandemic has changed the world. There has been, and I've been researching, I've been attending conferences to get a good handle on it, but right fixed in terms of credentials. So we see that 50 companies have already made it back, that we're going to be hiring our employees with specific skill sets and not necessarily college degrees. And then everybody, the technology has afforded everybody the opportunity to work in a hybrid model. This is one of them. I don't know. What have the jobs, what's the future of jobs and occupation after COVID? When you look at it, is that most jobs can be performed remotely. There's a higher need for e-commerce and a higher use of automation. The labor demand will shift across all occupations. So what we see in the lower half is that on the left-hand side, office support jobs will be declining. And then when you look at the far right, you're going to see that the skill sets that people are looking for are in the healthcare industries, followed by STEM, that looks like there's an improvement. And then, so logistics and transportation. So we know that there's a shift in occupations going on. And then we talk about, well, what does that mean? And so I'm still saying that industries will require that a workforce has new skills. Data science, building leadership, computer science, healthcare and life sciences will be using more technology. AI is here, this is a face here, but AI is artificial intelligence. It is not intended to replace a person, it's to augment the worker. So that's a change in the definition. And the other one is sustainable energy, mining. The IoT is the Internet of Things. So we'll be seeing an increased use of sensors. And they need people to actually develop programs for that. The other one is digital marketing, digital communication, and cybersecurity. So when we look at skill sets, what kind of courses we should be offering, we should be looking at the core elements that we can teach our students, our adults, and also those people employed today to upskill themselves. So that's what I've been looking at. So our next step is, I have a question here, and I've got completed to some interviews with our local community, with our business leaders, and then help us identify some career pathways so that we can have a better dialogue on our educational offerings. And then we also want some of our business leaders to offer entry positions for the students. And then the other ones, for those employers that need to upskill their employees, we have an opportunity to give them in-service training at their location. So those are the things that we're looking at now. So I mean, there's a lot, I wouldn't say a lot of work, but we are moving into a direction to get that identification out there so that we can position ourselves. It's all about positioning ourselves. Any question, anything like that?
Yeah, and if I would just add, thank you, Board Member Castillo, is what, our main goal is to, prepare through this workforce development is to prepare our residents for the workforce of tomorrow. And what are we doing as a city? What are we doing as a community to do that? And short of getting into the realm of what the school district teaches, but working under the premise of the Economic Development Ad Hoc Committee from the city, putting that under the umbrella of workforce development and working with Board Member Castillo to get her intellect as to her background experience and also the school district's participation. We've had a series of conversations with Rio Hondo College, the business department, as it was stated, to develop some questionnaires, and we're reaching out to the trades and also to the Pico Rivera Chamber of Commerce to assist us in this path, eventually build sub-partners as well. We're doing a lot of the research, just trying to connect the dots. Ultimately, the goal of Carolyn Castillo and I was to bring this back to our respective governing bodies, to look at and determine at what level, if any, we support this effort together through promoting the workforce development, identifying an apprenticeship program, and enhance and, again, prepare residents for the workforce of tomorrow. So thank you for that.
If there's a question? Sir?
hasn't been figured out, but my question is for the internships that, we're offering, will there be, this is the teacher in me, will there be a curriculum in place, a model that we're going to use, a structure, or are we just, like if there, that's my only concern, that we have a plan in place to make sure there's structure, a curriculum, so that whoever goes to do the internships, it's not just someone getting coffee, that some of us have done internships. That's my only question, if that's been in place.
believe I'm still on the research part. And so, but I think that we have a lot of opportunities. And then when, we have something more concrete. Because all we can do is identify what are people looking for either the student working part-time or an intern, those who prefer a different career path, just so that we have that identified and planned for. But I think this is collaboration amongst all of us.
And with that, so it is collaborating to provide a more robust career tech education program in our district, as well as to work with our adult school to start offering trades courses in different areas. The next bullet, percentage of city funding to support district safety initiatives, again, with our safety resource officer that we would like to bring back into the district. That is a potential future initiative we'd like to discuss. Can you go back to the previous slide? Streetlight banners for college and military-bound students. We'd like to start that once again, and then we'd still like to receive more information from Prime to be able to support if we will be moving forward with the Prime initiative or not.
Thank you, Dr. Esparza. As mentioned earlier, the ad hoc committees on both sides were very successful in moving some issues forward. And talking to City Council, these were some of the areas, of course, not to fully get into detail tonight, but potential future opportunities to discuss at future ad hocs if this body decides to move forward with that structure. And I mentioned some of these as the park joint use development on underutilized school district property, transitioning crossing guard program to the school district, repurposing funding towards safe routes to school, workforce development and apprenticeship program, and joint community workforce agreement. So these were some of the areas, and I know Dr. Esparza talked a little bit about future topics that she discussed with her board. So at this time, if any of the board members or the City Council want to expand on anything a little bit further, they're welcome to do that. And that concludes the presentation, and we can open it up to questions.
Mr. Carmona, if you can.
I have, El Rancho has the future ad hoc committee topics that we'd like to present also.
Dr. Esparza, if I may?
Yes.
Mr. Carmona, if you can back up to the previous slide.
Slide before, for the city one.
Yes, okay, this is the future ad hoc committee topics. Just a question of clarification for the benefit of anyone listening or watching would be if you can define what the city considers underutilized El Rancho properties.
Yes, as I mentioned earlier, these areas are to discuss a little bit further under the ad hoc. These were just general topics that the council wanted to possibly discuss at future ad hocs. Mm-hmm. So these would be properties that have been determined not functional as a school, mm-hmm. or any future opportunities to operate as a school, as defined by the board.
Thank you. One other question following the transition of the crossing guard, if that's something that will be, well, I'm sure we'll have further conversations, but this is just to present the overall general topics for future conversations, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you.
In fact,
So please,
Councilman Lutz will be taking a look at that whole situation in terms of school safety.
Yes, I chair the Community Safety Ad Hoc Committee for the city, and I'd like very much to collaborate with the school district when it comes to the crossing guards. And that is important because that falls under the umbrella of safety.
You know, the discussions in terms of just the manpower development, it is very critical. Cities right now use sources of revenue that are traditional, in terms of taxes and fees. We don't have that opportunity. We have to think out of the box here, and we have a tremendous staff that has been preparing for this. One of the things that we want to achieve is that we have to increase the wealth of our community. Increase the wealth of our community, which means, and we're talking about it, and we're talking to attorneys and unions and everything else right now. We have a tremendous amount of work that's going to be done in the next 10 years. The dam, okay, and other construction items here. What we want to do is that we want to create policies that basically say, if you spend $1 in Pico Rivera, that dollar has to go to a resident. We're going to try to develop a situation where our businesses get preferences and our residents get preferences, okay, in terms of it. Now, this is obviously a way that we're going to be able to build wealth, because again, the trend that's occurring right now is that we're going more and more into the service industry, so the income of our city, okay, is declining. So, we have to be able to prepare and work again with the district, okay, to really set those kinds of regulations again. So when you drive down the street and you see somebody working on the street or something, that's going to be a resident. Now, the other side of it is that being a teacher, I have firsthand, information in terms of this. And what I was really not disappointed, but surprised at, is that the number of male students are not applying for college, okay, are not applying for college. And again, if we don't have, if we don't have that ability here. Now, the city manager has been talking to labor unions that, that serve both the district and ourselves. And what they're talking about is that they're talking about being able to develop an apprentice program where they would be able to get our students and residents and actually put them into an apprentice program and in 15 weeks get their union card. Okay. Now that is going to be fantastic if we could do it. And again, your superintendent has experience in this, and we've talked about it. So I really think that that's going to be very, very important. Councilman, are you going to be inviting any members of the district into your committee? In that same situation, we have a medical professional on the council here. Are you going to be inviting some of the board members into the committee to talk about the health of?
Anytime I could collaborate with any members across the space here from the school board, I think it would be appropriate. When you look at healthcare jobs, they tend to be well-paying jobs. They tend to have high flexibility. There's a lot of medical benefits behind them. Not only the pay, but there's also a method in which people can work up. Someone can start as a licensed vocational nurse. They can become then a registered nurse, and then they can move on and become a nurse practitioner. And then you reach even higher levels, and you can become a nurse anesthetist. And those are really well-paying jobs, but not only is it there a financial aspect, but you're giving back to the community, right? You're helping people in their biggest time of need. So any time in which we could collaborate, I know we attempted to do that with the vaccines. I had reached out to our Rancho staff and with Dr. Esparza And we were scrambling. We were scrambling on behalf of this community, and we were willing to work together, and we were willing to use facilities. So we've already been doing that, but yes, we will continue going forward.
Oh, yes.
If I may, one thing in terms of the internships, paid internships is an area that I know, having gone through the process, and I was a college student for many, many years, that we compensate the interns. So making it not only meaningful work, but making sure they get paid, because there's an abundance of unpaid internships. But as you know, it's very hard to work for free and still make a living. One model that we could follow is our LA County Office of Education has a position called a staff assistant trainee, and they can intern at LACO for 2 years maximum. And there are requirements. It's actually a job description within that they advertise on EdJoin. And they have to have 2 letters of recommendation and what have you, other requirements. The other side to consider is the employer that's taking on the intern. You don't want to make too many restrictions or too much work, because although LACO does have this position, not every unit, not every employer, a supervisor wants to take on an intern, because it's additional work. And if you tax them too much and have too much paperwork, too much bureaucracy, that's going to deter a supervisor from taking on an intern. So I think there are various models that we could look to towards that, but looking from the employer as well as the internee, we can look at both ends.
City Manager?
Yes, at this time, if the board members want to have any, expand on any of these topics that were presented, or you can open it up to various questions.
Speak something in regard to the discussion we had right now.
I'm sorry.
I'd like to bring up, excuse me. I just wanted to bring up a point in terms of the discussion we were having just right now, in terms of the jobs and things like that.
Sure.
But when I look at this, the total scheme of things here in terms of what's happening in Pico Rivera and the El Rancho School District, it's very ambitious to say that we want to have skills and we want to have trades and so on. But before we got there, we have to have foundations. Okay. The jobs that they're describing here in terms of demand, the data science and stuff, those are all STEAM jobs, or STEAM foundations in terms of science, technology, engineering, and math. The school district is providing a foundation in terms of the curriculum. So in terms of the preparation of our students, the district is meeting that need. But more than that, many years ago, Councilman Camacho and myself, we both encouraged and motivated the Generation First Degree program. And unfortunately, it just kind of went on the wayside. But as a total, as a community and as a school district, we need to encourage our youth and our students to pursue these things and encourage our families. The Generation First Degree program vision was that every child, at least one child in every family in Pico Rivera, would go to college and have a college degree. And I still believe that today. And I think we can still do it. We have the resources. We have definitely the motivation here to do it. It's just a matter of how we're going to do it. I think one of the things that's missing in terms of our discussion here right now is Rio Hondo College. I really wish that we would have had a representative here of Rio Hondo in order to be able to articulate on what we can do jointly. Remember, our community pays taxes into Rio Hondo. There is a bond that we pay to. They have a beautiful campus, and we need to encourage our students to attend Rio Hondo, because right now they're offering 2 years of free college, which is a huge plus for parents and the way college earners are like that. So in the greater scope of things, probably through Generation First Degree, the city, and the school district, I think we can come up with something that we established a foundation, we established an encouragement throughout our community, have a campaign like Generation First. As you may know, that the governor is going to have free preschool for 4 years old. I think we should have a campaign as a district in the city to not obligate, but to motivate all of our families to have every child who's 4 years old or who's a preschooler attend preschool in Pico Rivera, to establish those foundations, to establish those visions now. And that was part of the vision of Generation First degree, and I think we can still continue that. The district can continue with the curriculum to offer the STEAM options. And as our students get older and they become more involved and looking for internships and stuff, I can see Rio Hondo being part of that pathway. Rather than having a K-12 system, we can have a 12-14 system where students, it's not that you're going to go to college, is that you are going to go to college, and this is how we're going to help you get there. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. One of the things, if these both bodies decide to establish the ad hoc, is that we can continue this dialogue and actually invite participants, not only Rio Hondo, various trade organizations to help further all these discussions that we're having here today.
Well, and you know, I understand exactly the situation because I was in the middle when we were trying to get that college program in there. And, you know, the surveys that I had with my students and the families were that, you know, there wasn't that much encouragement in it, okay? It was basically, hey, get out of high school and help the family, okay? So you're totally correct in terms of having to, you know, creating the culture to be able to do it. You know, the city of Pico Rivera won Business-Friendly City of the Year. What we should be striving for right now is Family-Friendly City of the Year. In that whole situation of being able to, again, just encourage those kinds of things. Because again, it has to start at, you know, the kindergarten, okay? Kindergarten, just, and you know, we have been making the effort, and there has been an increase in the number of individuals. So, you know, you're correct. The only thing was that the city and the district had never made the connection, okay? Had never made the connection. Now that we see that we have to build a wealth of the community, now we see the connection. Hey, it does us good to do you good, okay? Because that's the only way that we're going to elevate. One of the problems that I thought that we seriously had in the city was that we had a very small number of college graduates, very small, as compared to the state. Now, that has improved, but it's still going to be a problem for us, okay, because we're only halfway there, okay? So one of the things that we have to, you know, work on is getting more college people in, you know, and again, just supporting that kind of culture. So I totally agree with you, and I totally agree that we have to start working on developing a family-friendly city.
Can we go back to the last slide? So the future ad hoc committee topics, these are some of the items that were brought forth by board members that we'd like to have participate in ad hoc committees. But first and foremost, very important is restating the partnership with the Sheriff's Department so that we partner for an SRO, as well as continuing the commitment of safe routes to schools, and that the city continue to support us, knowing that there's a surplus, that the city continue to support us with safe routes and making sure that we continue to work with our crossing guards that we have now. And at this point, this is the end for Rancho Unified and the city, and I believe Mr. Carmona will take it over.
If I may, Dr. Esparza, Mr. Carmona, we don't have to go back to the, well, there it is. As we move forward, oh, by the way, Mayor Elias, you have my vote for the family-friendly city. I think we deserve it. Nonetheless, it is key that we define the rules, the ground rules for the ad hoc committee. And we have to be very clear. The school board has to walk a very, very fine line. Some of you know, may or may not know, but the ad hoc committee role that previous former board members played was identified as findings on our audit report. So we must have those ground rules because we are still, it's like a review of a school. They're going to come back and do an additional audit to ensure that we have implemented all the recommendations. And one of the recommendations, very clear, is the role that board members play with the ad hoc committees. So I'm sure that there are many areas that we can certainly collaborate with an ad hoc committee. For example, what Mr. Camacho and Board Member Castillo are doing, which is really a two-prong approach here. We have the building of those skills at the school, which is pre-K through 12. We have the adult school. Most of the jobs that we were talking about here are STEAM-based, correct? But where the city comes in is to also build those skills at the adult level when they leave the system, when they leave the school district, to provide continue the education of the adult workforce. So this is a unique example where I see a very strong ad hoc collaboration between city and board. There will be others in which we must define those ground rules, just so that we all know exactly how we're going to walk into this. Thank you.
Absolutely.
At this time, we still have a public speaker on who has been waiting. Mrs. Turn earlier. Is it okay for Mr. Jacob Rodriguez to move forward and speak? Yes. Okay, Mr. Jacob Rodriguez. Yes.
excuse me, Mr. Rodriguez, pardon the interruption. Can you please wrap it up? We do, thank you. Thank you.
If there's no other further questions, I think each body can, oh, sorry, Board Member Mejia.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up the swimming pool again, how crucial it is. I know that there was a letter of support that was sent to Congresswoman Sanchez, and I was thinking that we should probably do another one because our city doesn't have any splash pads. Our city does not have any wading pools. The El Rancho Unified School, El Rancho's pool is not working either. And I think summer's here, and it's been really hot, and our residents and our students do not have anywhere to cool off. So I would like to recommend that another letter is sent out and telling the story. We don't have any splash pads. We don't have any facilities where our community and our students can cool off. So I'd like to make that recommendation so that hopefully there's traction there. Thank you.
Councilmember Lara.
City Manager Kimona, I believe we have a $2.2 million surplus, right?
Yes, but that
Yeah, so, you know, I had the opportunity to walk Smith Park and particularly the swimming pool because the request had come in to use our swimming pool for school activities. And I read the letter that the city manager gave the school district, which was accurate, but I needed to see it myself. And unfortunately, our pool needs a lot of work in terms of the boiler and whatnot. It comes out to about $600,000. I think maybe as a city council, we may want to reconsider where we're diverting our surplus, if we should have a surplus at the end of the fiscal year, so that we could try to get our swimming pool up and running. I agree with Board Member Mejia on the points that she brings out in regards to the community, but it would just also help the school district. That would be my recommendation. Thank you.
I would like to make a comment as well, if I may. I would like to comment regarding the structure of the ad hoc. I myself am not on the ad hoc, and I'm okay with that. We also have ad hoc committees on the council. For instance, I'm the chair of the Community Services ad hoc. And many of your topics, such as the community health fair, the collaboration of edible school gardens, definitely food accessibility is an area that I'm interested in. So although I recognize there are regular meetings between our collaborative ad hoc, maybe we could discuss ways in which we could invite other members to include on our city ad hoc committees, and we can work on various projects in that way as well. So there's the overarching El Rancho City Council ad hoc. We have our own city ad hoc committees. You have your own committees, I assume, and how we can invite other members to participate in those on specific project-based ad hocs.
Yeah, and just to note that Dr. Esparza and myself can work together to see how we can structure an ad hoc that conforms to the Brown Act. And of course, each respective body, it's not agendized tonight, so they have to take it back. And then, each body will have to determine if that's the structure that they would like to move forward with this collaboration at their next board meeting or council meeting.
I'd like to request that the city provide us with a list of the ad hoc committees that are already created so that we can
Certainly.
share that with our board.
Okay, so I guess we are now in item 6, which is adjournment of our meeting. I need a motion, please.
Can I ask a question?
Ms. Pettis?
Just also the list, the description, because one of the committees seem very similar to the other ones, so if you can just also provide a description.
Certainly.
Thank you. Sorry, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Perez. I need a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Thank you. I'll second that. I'll take this to a vote now. Ms. Castillo?
Yes.
Ms. Mejia?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Dr. Rivera?
Yes.
Merino, yes, 5-0 to adjourn the meeting. Just once again, I want to say thank you. Thank you very much for your time for everyone here. I'll turn it over to
thank you.
Mr. Elias. And we'll definitely be looking forward to our next joint meeting. Mr. Elias?
Yes, so we want to have some closing short comments from the council people. Mayor Pro Tem, beginning you. You have none? Okay. Councilman Lara?
I want to start off by thanking Councilmember Camacho for over a decade of service and kind of setting a pathway of collaboration, and even in small projects, whether it's Generation First Degree. Thank you for that. Now we do that as a collective body, as a whole. Mayor, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for envisioning this and seeing that it's done, this joint meeting with the school district and the city. Thank you very much. City staff, thank you for taking the time this evening. Our city manager, Mr. Carmona, thank you very much for your leadership in putting this together. Dr. Rivera, I just embrace that vision, K through 14. I think that's the vision of this city with our youth. We need to make sure that our youth are moving forward in terms of their education, but just at the bare minimum, we need to make sure that our residents are getting the value for their taxes that they're paying, right? So I want to welcome that. I want to collaborate anywhere I can. You have a partner on my side. I will always be welcome to move the city and the school district forward. Thank you very much.
Councilman Lutz?
Thank you, Mayor. Again, I'm very appreciative that the two bodies are getting together this evening, and I would like to repeat to see if we can have this done on a quarterly basis. And of course, have the board of Rio Hondo as well. Over the next 10 years, we're going to be laying the foundation for bringing in new families into the community. And as such, we're going to be providing higher quality facilities, and I hope that the school district can do the same, so we can have a higher quality life and higher education standards for our residents now and in the future. Thanks. Thank you again.
Thank you.
So then this meeting is officially adjourned. Have a nice evening, everyone, and thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Mayor, do you want to adjourn our side? You want to adjourn our side, please? Adjourn.
We need adjourned.